it's good weather in Dublin, and it's good weather in the sports card hobby.
Ooh.
Because just last night, I think, at Heritage Auctions, we set a new the hobby,
the people,
the people set a new record for the most expensive
sports collectible ever.
More from Rich Mueller, sportscollectorsdaily.com.
Yes.
The headline reads, 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle sets new sports memorabilia record at $12.6 million US.
Wow.
Now here's an interesting, this is the brilliance of Rich Mueller. This is how he starts this article, right? Mickey Mantle's net worth at the time he died in 1995 was around $10 million. Wow. Early Sunday morning, one of his old baseball cards sold for more.
Damn.
Yeah. And one of the highest graded copies of the Hall of Famer's 1952 Topps card netted $12.6 million at Heritage Auction after a flurry of late bids, becoming the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever sold. The price for the card graded 9.5, which SGC designates as Mint Plus by SGC, includes a 20% buyer's premium added to all winning bids. The card had been expected to sell for at least $10 million. The name of the winning bidder was not immediately revealed. It's the 11th time in the past 2 years that a sports card has sold for at least $4 million. So we're getting up there in price and in frequency.
It's also crazy that it's an SGC. Because there is some PSA 10s of that exact card that's just never gone for sale. I think 4 of them or 3 of them.
Yeah, 20 million they're estimating has been worth. Wow. Now, Enzo, of course, the previous record for a piece of sports memorabilia was Diego Maradona's Hand of God
jersey
from the 1986 World Cup. And that was 4 months ago. So just within less than 4 months.
So a soccer memorabilia had that for 4 months.
It was $9.2 million.
Wow.
Then baseball comes roaring back in.
That is crazy.
Your move, soccer.
No, it is crazy.
It also broke the record for a trading card established over 3 weeks ago when Golden brokered the sale of a T206 Honus Wagner. That was $7.25 million. So a momentous day for us all. We've broken the $10 million mark.
Yeah. And it's interesting again for us from a soccer card point of view that this is a baseball card, which makes sense, okay? Absolutely, the hobby is deep baseball. But when you're thinking, what does this do long term for vintage soccer?
Yeah.
High-end vintage soccer.
Now,
huge.
This card is from what's known in the hobby as, and kind of sports card mythology, as the Rosen find. So if you don't know this story, basically, I'll just go on to this. Alan Rosen, right, known as Mr. Mint in hobby circles, went to see a man, I believe in Massachusetts, and found some unopened boxes of 1952 Topps baseball chewing gum cards. And basically found an amazing load of these pristine Mickey Mantle rookie cards. And let me just see if I can find it here. So a hoard of virtually untouched 1952 Topps cards, about 3/4 of which were the coveted high numbers that had been saved by a Massachusetts man named Ted Lodge. Among the approximately 5,500 cards were 65 Mantles, sought by collectors thanks to his popularity as a player and story that made his first Topps card into the stuff of legend. In the late 1950s, Topps Seiberger hopped aboard a barge and watched as they were dumped into the ocean because the company couldn't get rid of them, even for a penny a piece. So the cards are bought by Rosen.
How many years till there's Bundesliga boxes with a similar story?
I was going to say that as well.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did I sneak in?
No, I just chose not to. So basically, Rosen learned that Lodge had several thousand cards, borrowed $25,000.
So wait, pause. Lodge wasn't like the warehouse Topps or anything like that.
No, he just had them.
Yeah, he had them. They had already been dumped by someone else previous.
No.
Did they find these before or after the dumping in the ocean?
After. So the guy originally had gotten these.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the supply had dwindled because so many of them dumped in the ocean.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, now I follow.
So Rosen borrows $25,000, hires a security guard, and makes the trek from his home office carrying $150,000 in cash to this guy Ted Lodge's house. He counted 75 Mantle cards among the huge sacks on sitting on a large silver tray. There were dozens of other cards, Jackie Robinson's, Eddie Matthews, that kind of stuff. And Rosen said in a 2007 interview, "My hands were shaking. It was like going on a pirate ship and discovering boxes of gold. I took the card outside and sniffed them. I was just so unsure about spending all that money. I didn't believe they were real or not. I go to the kitchen and there's the original case. I couldn't believe it." After striking the deal for the main batch, the man then produced another large stack of rejects that were badly off-center, had other issues. There were 15 additional mantles in that group. So, Rosen died in 2017. But in the meantime, he had sold and bought back this card. This 9.5, which he had originally picked out as the best of the bunch. He sold it. And then years later, he sold it, I think, maybe for like something like, $3,500 or something.
Wow.
And then years later bought it back for like $25,000 or so, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this is the kind of thing that is just so exciting, and it's like what we don't have in the European hobby, which is like a history of like stuff like Shayway Vlogs going to Norway to get the Messi Topps Chrome. That's a story. But like these kind of like folklore, like legends and myths of...
No, but there's definitely stories of people going to Portugal, finding mega cracks, stuff like that.
Yeah, but we just haven't heard them yet.
Yeah, we've heard some stories of finding the Messi mega cracks in Barcelona and Catalonia and stuff like that, but they're not on the same level, I would say.
And they haven't... The stories don't necessarily... They haven't like...
Become folklore.
They haven't like...
Because does the SGC slab label not actually mention...
Yeah, the Rosen find.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
crazy.
Like, and you think about stuff like the early Pelés, Maradonas, and you know that there are Ted Lodges sitting all over Europe and South America with these finds, waiting on a Ken Rosen to walk through the door, and look at all this and go like, yeah, here's €150,000.
Yeah, you're shaking with the Ronaldinho rookies.
Exactly, yeah. So, I don't know. It's just so exciting, and I feel like a little bit like excited, but also jealous.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Very jealous. There's a thing on Golden though of a 1951 Mickey Mantle.
Yeah,
up on Gold, PSA 10, the only pop 101, I think. So it'll be interesting. I don't think that should beat the 1952 necessarily, but special card as well.
It's just, I mean, you wonder what is there ever going to be a... Oh, my phone is not on silent. What the hell? What kind of a guy is this?
Double up my phone.
You wonder like what is going to be the $10 million soccer card. And surely it has to be a Pele or a Maradona. Probably more likely a Pele if they can find it in a high grade. Mad City Collector comments on Instagram and says he predicts it would be a 1957 Oliveira and Benassi Bellas equip Pele if a PSA 3 or higher ever surfaces.
Wow.
When you think about it, that's 5 years younger than the 52 Mantle.
That's mad that it's 5 years younger, and like the thoughts of a 10 is impossible.
Yeah, a 4 would be
nuts.
Would be 10 million.
Which is mad though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Golden Generation SC says the Jude Bellingham Stadium Club auto variation. And I don't detect any bias in that statement at all.
None.
But yeah, like I don't know. I wonder, are we ever going to get there with soccer? Or like, because part of the reason is every high-end baseball card collector grows up with stories. This is what I was going back to about folklore. Grows up with stories about the Mickey Mantle and all this stuff. Whereas like a Pele, it won't be our generation of collectors. It would have to be the next generation or the next generation.
And they won't necessarily have the Pele folklore.
Or no, we'll have to like build. We have to like create the myths around the Pele, pass it down to them. Like the way in 1958 they were dumping Mickey Mantles into the ocean. It was only that decades later it attained legendary status. And like no one did that before us.
Why
really?
did they dump it in the ocean? That's mad. Recycle it. I know back then.
But
it's mad.
They thought fish ate them.
I think they did. See, if they were on chromium stock,
yeah, they could have polluted the ocean.
No, but they could have survived maybe.
Or they could have like
at least what we find out.
So I don't know. You wonder.
No, it is, but that's a great hobby story, if nothing else.
A great hobby story and a win for the hobby. In it, so much talk this year about the dip.
Loss in confidence.
Going down, loss in confidence. Not at the top.
The market's fine.
11 times in the last. What do you say? 11 times in the last 2 months. There's been $4 million sales, something like that.
Something mad.
$4 million or more.
Yeah, so the times are good.
Times are good at the top.
At the top.
But I think where a lot of people are feeling the squeeze, including ourselves, is at the bottom.
Modern. I mean, that's
modern.
it.
It's just modern.
There's a mix between modern vintage. But see, the thing is, people talk about like junk wax era and stuff like that, right? But like back in the junk wax era, there wasn't parallels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there was. To my knowledge, there was.
Well, no, I think like that was the precious gem metal. What's it called?
Metal Gem.
PMGs, precious metal gems. They were like the first ones to do the parallels and stuff like that, and create that whole. That was like what saved the hobby out of the junk wax.
That's what I'm saying, because like people are like, okay, they're printing too much, blah blah blah. But it's like, but if a huge rookie comes out, call it a Haaland, right?
Yeah.
And it's a 101 rookie. Doesn't matter how many base cards there are.
Yeah.
That's the 101. So that kind of saves it. But it's interesting, like in 1958, like I don't know the history of baseball, obviously, but like it was Mickey Mantle.
I think it was less about Mickey Mantle. It was just about the hobby. There were still chewing gum cards, because like what happens, like people that grew up with these cards have to
have the
nostalgia for it, and then they have to pass that on and that on and that on.
Yeah, and then it
become
becomes
antiques.
legendary. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, think of like how many people you go into like a vintage clothes shop in Dublin, and you see like an Adidas tracksuit top from the 80s, and it's like, I don't know, it could be like €120, but like people just throwing them out.
Yeah.
You know, back, because styles change, but and some things make the transition to antiques and most things don't.
Yeah. That's it. You can't predict it, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Yeah.
Like the same way with the Mega Cracks when they first came out with the Messis and them, whatever.
Yeah.
They were just they were kids things. Kids were eating them and whatever.
Yeah.
And like now we look back at it and go, that was actually iconic. Blah blah blah. And that obviously happened with that. No, it's a huge hobby story.
Huge hobby story, and a huge hobby success story and highlight. Yeah. And yes, very good. And of course, just to give another plug to sportscollectorsdaily.com.
Which we are doing a great job.
Yeah, doing a great job.